Notwithstanding the type, conducting a case study requires to follow a number of preordained steps, which are setting the problem, defining objectives, framing the analysis in extant theories, defining the methodology, which is further divided into the sub-steps of deciding the units of analysis, selecting cases, collecting data, analyzing data, and interpreting the findings, and the concluding step of evaluating the case study and assessing the role of theory. All of these steps will be illustrated and exemplified. In order to better understand how to perform a case study as a research method, let's introduce an example of its actual application within a research of mine. Such research aimed at investigating how early-stage digital startups, that is, highly innovative new ventures whose proposition embedded in digital products, services, and solutions, performed their process of business model innovation, intended as a change in the way they create value for their target customers, they deliver value, and capture a share of that value in terms of profits in order to be sustainable. Let's now understand why I decided to investigate such problem by means of a case study, going back to the very definition provided by Yin. First, business model innovation in digital startups is a contemporary and complex phenomenon that is fully embedded in its context and cannot be separated from it, since the context characteristics, such as the environmental dynamicity, influence how it unravels. And second, the phenomenon should be observed by combining multiple sources of information and evidence, such as interviews and archival records. In this research, the case study type performed was exploratory, since little was known about how early-stage digital startups' business model innovation, or BMI, was carried out. Even though exploratory cases should start with little or no theory under consideration and no hypothesis to test, as Kathleen Eisenhardt wrote in her 1989 piece on building theories from case study research, it is virtually impossible to begin researching with a fully clear theoretical slate. So I selected the theoretical lenses of business model design and innovation theory as a starting point. But such theories solely serve to define a sufficiently broad research question, thus initiating the data gathering process. And before or during the interviews, no preordained relationship with other theories or approaches were exposed to informants. However, as the exploratory discussion with digital entrepreneurs about how they conducted business model innovation unraveled, it became clear that this process was linked to other theories, models, and approaches, like the lean startup approaches and agile development. And such relationship was unknown or unexpected ex ante. This discovery made through the exploratory case study eventually allowed to conceptually link BMI, lean startup approaches, and agile development, thus creating new theory. In turn, such theory generated was systematized by means of a set of theoretical propositions I put forward that will call for further expansion and testing through other qualitative or quantitative methods. As a whole, this is an example of how the scientific method disentangles thanks to a sound application of case study research. In this lecture, I provided a general definition for a case study, which I further specified with reference to its different kinds, and I have briefly gone through the steps to designing and conducting a case study. While in the next lecture, I will deep dive into the initial phases of the process, that is, the problem setting, the definition of the objectives, and theoretical framing.